Well, good afternoon. Good afternoon and welcome to another Webinar Wednesday hosted by Cal State Bakersfield Small Business Development Center. This is webinar number 296, going back over the last 10 plus years. Good afternoon, I'm Kelly Bearden. I'm the director of the SBDC and also your host for today. So let's find out what's going on in the business world today, October 25th, 2023. Well, we're going to be talking about planning today, business planning. Great topic. Business planning, and not only the planning part of it, but a little bit also on the execution. Planning is great, but if you don't execute, not really there. So we're going to look to plan and execute and the tools to advance your business. So we do have special guest Josh Fegles with us, and also we'll be getting to him in just a little bit. First, we'll have our resident economist, Dr. Mark Evans. He'll be in, and today he gets after Amazon. I think he's just doing this for me because he knows how much I appreciate a good old, discussion about Amazon and how they affect small businesses. Also, our Capital Quarter, our weekly feature on accessing capital throughout Central California. We'll kind of key on two key topics. One of them is the Fed Small Business Credit Survey update. We'll share one of the results from last year and a way that you can actually work on not avoiding some of the consequences of a bad loan. We'll have our community calendar, which will have an upcoming events of interest. We'll have some quick updates on some programs. As always, we'll take your questions, and your questions will be answered live at the completion of today's last presentation. So if you have question, go to the Q&A box, put a question in there. We do have our resources being put into the chat section, so you'll find a number of resources today. And thank you, producer Maureen Busher-Dang, for doing that. And we'll move on to our poll. So we do have a poll today, a couple of poll questions, and jumping into the first poll question, and we will launch that for you. And it's my business planning needs. And so we'll just try to assess what your business planning skills are and your planning needs. So my business planning and planning skills they're getting better and they're improving. That's evident that you're here today. So that's the floor today, is you're getting better and improving, or could they be pretty good? Pretty good is pretty good, or fantastic. So you have a choice of three. You're here, so you're getting better and you're improving. That's our floor. Our ceiling is fantastic. We have 64% of you that have already participated. And jumping in, we're going to jump in and close the first poll question and share the results with you. And 84% of you are getting better and improving. Well, thank you for being here. You're obviously showing that now. We have 13% of you that are pretty good, and the 3% of you out there, the 3% that are fantastic at business planning and just probably looking to pick up another tool or so. So we have that particular poll question that is done, and we'll move on to our second poll, a little more of the whimsical poll form question. But this entertainer is launching his first ever tech startup, a social app called It's Good, that aims to give users personalized food and travel tips. Who is he? Is he Tom Cruise, Elon Musk, or John Legend? So, first ever tech startup. Give you a hint. He has had a business before. So it's a startup app called It's Good, which kind of is going to compete with Google and also Yelp. And it's only going to be positive. It's only going to be positive tips, enough negativity, enough bashing in Zoom not Zoom, but enough bashing on Zoom potentially for other apps like Yelp. So, okay, so 71% of you have participated. And who is the entertainer who is launching a social app called It's Good? Share the results with you. And yes, 69% of you are correct. It is John Legend. 22% of you, Elon Musk, and 9% Tom Cruise. So, wow, good 70%, we'll call it, correct with John Legend. And I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to a positive app that, I like a little few negative reviews. If I wanted to go see those, I will. So we'll see what that all shakes out soon. Okay, so Thank you for that. And we stop the polls and move on with today's webinar. And that is going to bring us to our first speaker of the day. And our speaker is our resident economist on Webinar Wednesday. You know him as Dr. Mark Evans, the emeritus professor, former chair of the economics department, associate dean of the School of BPA, also 40 years at CSUB, co-founder of the Kern Economic Journal, and a 2023 inductee to the CSUB Hall of Fame. Dr. Evans, take it away, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us for your lunch hour today. I thought I would talk a little bit today about the antitrust suit that the FTC filed against Amazon in late September. But first, let's talk a little bit about retail sales and how much they've grown. E-commerce retail sales were 43 million in 2010. They were 260 billion in 2022. If you do the math, that's more than a doubling every year for 12 years in a row. But it started from a small base, so of only 4.5% of total sales in 2010. 2022, it's almost 15% of all the money we spend. So the FTC in 17 states filed an antitrust suit against Amazon. In an antitrust suit, you have to demonstrate who you've harmed. So the potentially harmed parties include online customers. There's about 167 million of us that are Prime subscribers. Independent third-party sellers. There's well over 1 million small and medium-sized businesses that sell their goods on Amazon. There's the competing superstore e-commerce platforms such as Walmart, Target, eBay, although they are not a party to the suit, as well as competing logistics companies. The anti-competitive tactics, monopoly pricing, in this case, charging the independent sellers for the services you're providing, monopolizing e-commerce related logistics, giving your brand an unfair advantage over the brands of the independent sellers, monopolizing the e-commerce superstore platforms, and then finally, just the ultimate consumer, monopolistic pricing of online goods. So let's go over these, in a slide or so for each one, and look at excessive fees to the independent sellers. Here on the chart on the right, you can see that revenue as a share of, or rather, Amazon fees as a share of revenue have gone from about 19% for the independent business to 34% in 2021. It's probably much higher now. There are many businesses that are paying up to 50% of their revenue in various fees. The reason for this is the search filter in the early days was pretty much generating organic searches, and it's been turned basically into an ad generator. There's an increasing number of well-positioned ad spaces that are now up for bid for all product categories. And what this does is it forces retailers basically to buy more and more ads, to pay more and more for advertising for a worsening search position. But the alternative of not buying these ads is that you really become unnoticed. In 2021 alone, Amazon's advertising revenues increased 56%. There's a practice called conquesting, and I know Google does this too, because when I Google my tax preparer or the store I use to purchase pool supplies, what ends up coming up would be a whole host of other tax preparers above them or pool stores. And one time I actually called the wrong number because I just assumed what Google was doing was giving me the company I had actually asked for. But what happens with conquesting is you can pay Amazon or Google to receive a high placement ad whenever your competitor's product is mentioned as part of a search that you want to conduct. Interestingly enough, you cannot conquest the Amazon brand product. That the algorithm doesn't allow that. The importance of this marketplace revenue. What this Institute for Local Self-Reliance did is they tried to pull out how much profit Amazon was generating from just their third-party vendor charges for sales commissions, advertising, using Amazon fulfillment services. And they came up with a figure that's almost twice what they generate from AWS, which is really the most comprehensive and broadly adopted cloud right now, offering cloud services. So it's big business, the little fees that the little guys are paying. Monopolizing e-commerce. When you search for a product, Amazon has to have a way of choosing the vendor when there's more than one vendor selling that product. So how do you get into what's called the buy box? Well, there's an algorithm that basically requires you to be what's called a prime vendor, which means that you're eligible for free shipping. The qualifications for being a prime vendor are that you be an Amazon-owned product, or that you be an independent seller that uses Amazon's fulfillment services. Well, has this created any leverage? Well, in 2022 alone, fulfillment costs increased 30% for these small business vendors. And then there's an allegation that it's preventing current fulfillment competitors from growing and new competitors from emerging in the logistics field. Unfair advantage to Amazon brands. There have been many studies that have concluded that simply being an Amazon-owned brand or a brand that sells exclusively through Amazon puts you higher in the search results. We know that the first 3 listings alone receive 64% of the total clicks, so this is a major advantage. And simultaneously, they're systematically acquiring many brands that they can sell themselves to compete with the independents. E-commerce superstore platforms. Well, an independent vendor selling through Amazon is not allowed to sell their products online for a lower price elsewhere, even if the fees are significantly lower. Now, I guess what this means is you can't even sell your product lower on your own website if that's where you're selling it from. If you do, the search algorithm will deselect you and you'll never show up in the search results. In terms of first-party vendors, these are businesses that sell their products. They don't use Amazon to sell their products online. They sell their products as wholesalers to Amazon, who in turn offers them for sale. They're not allowed to sell their goods to other platforms at a lower price, again, even if the costs are lower. And the allegation is that this creates a high price floor, enabling Amazon to increase fees without having to risk losing sales, and it's preventing competitive platforms from offering lower prices. And then finally, monopolistic pricing of online goods. The Wall Street Journal had an article talking about Project Nessie, which is essentially a game theoretic pricing algorithm that Amazon uses. What this algorithm does is it nudges up product prices in certain areas, then it monitors the response of the other e-commerce platforms, and if they in turn raise the price, then Amazon will keep their price high, but if they don't match the price increase, they'll reset to the lower level. So they're basically searching for areas that where the price could potentially gravitate to the monopoly level. Amazon says that the only purpose of Nessie is to prevent destructive price competition. And then, of course, the big deal here is these high vendor charges are passed along to the online customers. So I guess my parting question would be, if big box retailers killed many small business retailers, is the internet the great hope? Well, can the internet re-democratize retail? And then even if it can, is the internet re-democratizing retail? I think the glass is half full, half empty. There's 1.1 million independent businesses selling products through Amazon. Yet at the same time, maybe the situation can be restructured to where it's even better for these companies. And with that, I'll pass the baton back to you, Kelly.
Well, a quick question, Doctor, is what are the odds that the government can win in this lawsuit?
I think it's really tough to win antitrust suits. We will see, but I think what's going to make it tough is that historically there've been a lot of it has been loss leading, short-term strategic loss leading, and it's pretty difficult to win an antitrust suit unless you could show that you've systematically elevated prices. So I think it's not going to be easy.
Okay. Well, there he is, our resident economist taking on Amazon. I like it. Thank you, Doctor. Okay, and jumping right into our other feature, our Capital Quarter. You've heard us talk a little bit about the Federal Reserve's Small Business Credit Survey. Going to continue to talk about it just a little bit. And with that is right now, it's an open period where you can go to this link to the Federal Reserve survey and tell them what you need. And really, this is an important opportunity for you to let the leaders and small business owners, and even us on a local level, know the information that you need and you're finding when you go try to access credit. When you try to access credit, this survey will be only about 10 or 12 minutes. And we have till November 17th. And why is it important? Well, here is a key finding from the 2022 Small Business Credit Survey. And this is one of the many questions that you would be asked. And this is California's responses to the US. If we get enough responses, we can have our own for Kern County, the San Joaquin Valley, and other parts of Central California. But see, this is where the data really separates itself. And if you look at this chart, you'll see it broke down between bank sizes, CDFIs, credit unions, and online lenders. But look at the huge difference in California on accessing and using mostly expensive online lenders. It's significantly higher than the national level. And also, we are less likely to use smaller banks here in California, although we do use CDFIs higher. But really, that online lender is really kind of a stark and really troubling statistic when it comes out. And let me show you our example that we like to show with that. And here is my calculator that I've gone online and accessed a calculator. Here's what I do. I put in $50,000 for a 20-month term loan that was going to compound daily. And I was given the parameters, but I wasn't given the interest rate. Through this calculator, I calculated the interest rate to be 49.49 based on what the online lender gave me as far as other variables. They told me that the payment every day would be $120.67. The total amount of interest I would pay back would be $23,456. And having those variables and the length of time and the amount, I was able to calculate using this calculator to show that it's 49.49% interest. So here is the actual calculation that you can do to understand what the annual percentage rate is. And in this particular example, 49.49%. So one question I like to ask is, well, gee, what if you pay it back after 10 months, halfway through? How much interest would you be saving? And what would the APR change to? And the answer is nothing, because after halfway, you still owe $36,000, but the $23,459 of fees that are added, $456, added to the loan right there, your interest is paid whether if you pay the loan back after 9 months, 10 months, 20 months. So really, if you do that, you come into the SBDC, a client had this actually happen, and they say, dang, sometimes they say worse. They say, I'm paying 49.49%. I'm going to pay it off in 10 months. What is the APR now? The APR now, I'll give you a choice of three, 20, 80, or 99%. So paying off it early actually just means that you will have the money for less time, and it doubles the APR to 99%. So it kind of really shows you the need for really understanding what online lenders do. And oftentimes you're not aware of the interest rate. In your documentation, go through it. You will not find a specific interest rate in most cases. Some cases you'll get it, but in most cases you will not have an APR that for most lending is required to show. And, 49.49% is really high. I mean, he doesn't understand why people are paying it, and we don't understand why he's not knocking the quarterback on the ground. So please look at that and actually do look and study your online lenders. And this is one of the more important reasons why we really need some surveys filled out and to find out and to really provide the type of training to get the best access to capital for your small business. Well, here's one of the ways that you can access. It's still going on, the City of Bakersfield's Entrepreneurship Grant Program. One of the training programs that is being offered courtesy of Extended Education at CSUB and also the Small Business Development Center is the Foodservice Management Program. And you know why we're in this, because small mom and pop businesses are struggling. It's difficult these days because of the labors and food cost, and also a lot of the rising costs that are really being passed on to you and I and everybody else. So really, this program is an excellent program, and it allows people, there is still funding available for the City of Bakersfield program. They also have a business security program where you can get security improvements. You can contact the city for that. Also, you want to run a home child care daycare center in Central California. Really, Nurture is running one right now. We talked about it last week. Half of the people in there are from Kern County, but it's a great opportunity to take on a real challenging and dire needs. In Kern County, we're on a child care island. It is really bad off. Also, some resources that are free. There's the free human resource hotline for employers through the California Employers Association. If you're in any of those counties throughout beyond Kern, and Mono counties and into the San Joaquin Valley, the Central Coast, or the Eastern Sierra, please call if you have any questions along those lines. Tomorrow night is the Small Business Expo on our community calendar by the put on by the Kern County Black Chamber of Commerce, the state of Black Bakersfield. So that is going on tomorrow, October 26th, at the 4 Points by Sheraton on California Avenue. Also, save the date, the Kern County Energy Summit is coming up on November 15th. We'll have more on that as we come up, but some great opportunities with energy, great opportunities for entrepreneurship still, even though you think it's a big business-dominated industry. And also, if you need QuickBooks assistance, our friends at the North of the River Chamber are presenting an economic empowerment workshop series, and one coming up on November 8th is going to be on QuickBooks. Begins at noon at the River Lakes Community Center. And moving along, we have our tools where we can have, obviously, LivePlan is going to be discussed right now. And LivePlan is one of the tools that the SBDC works with. And it really is a great tool. And really, there's great opportunities for you to access LivePlan through the SBDC in Central California. So Josh will talk a little bit about that. You can go back and find a few of our related webinar topics at our YouTube channel, and that'll be one on artificial intelligence, webinar 284, also on ChatGTP, or not just chat, but ChatGTP with Justin Powers, also back from March of this year. And then last year, had the pleasure of being joined by Josh Fegles on the trade show of the America's SBDC National Conference, where we did webinar number 130 live. And if you have feedback, we'd love to hear it. But let's bring in today's special guest, and it's Josh Fegles. He's the Government and Educational Sales Manager for Palo Alto Software, maker of LivePlan software. Being based in Eugene, and Josh actually resides there, LivePlan is the #1 selling business planning software and helps small, mid-sized businesses, over 2 million entrepreneurs, over 180 countries. Those numbers have probably gone up because I probably used the same data from last September. But Josh, it's great to have you join us again. We're real fans of LivePlan and what it does for our clients. looking forward to any updates and changes that have happened in the last year. So take it away.
Thank you very much, Kelly. And I'm also a very big fan of the SBDC, so it's a mutual appreciation there. What I want to do as we jump in here first is just share a few slides with you all, and then what I plan to do is get into LivePlan and show you, let's see, start from the beginning. Let's see. All right, so just as a quick introduction, we are a company actually started in Palo Alto, California, back in 1988. That was some time ago now, but been in business for 3.5 decades, and we started making software in the 90s. So we've been at this a while. And interesting point to really draw out is that we've been partnered with America's SBDC, I think, for 27 or 28 years now. So obviously we're partnered there in Central California, but across the network. So if any of you end up, traveling or moving, or, your career or your business takes you elsewhere, find an SBDC wherever you're at, because they're incredible, and the services that they offer are invaluable. As a company, the reason why I'm so passionate about LivePlan is not just because it's a great software, but because we have a mission behind building the software, and that's that we want to help people succeed in business. So if you're in business or thinking about starting a business, or really anywhere in the spectrum, for us to fulfill our mission, the tools that we're offering, the partnerships with organizations like SBDC, which has a very similar mission, really it's our heartbeat for you to be successful in your business ventures. Want to share a free tool with you all as well called bplans.com. Feel free to jot that down, go there later. But there are free downloads, templates, examples, articles, lots of great stuff there. All of that content is free for entrepreneurs. And the reason for LivePlan is that planning is hard. If you've been tasked with writing a business plan, or someone has, really helped encourage you to get into the numbers more, hopefully, on your business, the core problem is that the planning is hard, the financials are hard, and that we all work busy lives, but especially entrepreneurs are busy. So you have a limited resource, which is your time. And so what we've built LivePlan for is to make that easier, even enjoyable or delightful is the goal. But we do that through the various elements in the software, which I'll go through when we get there. But the main thing that I want to talk about today is AI. And that's, I think, the most revolutionary thing probably in our lifetime. I think back to, 12 or so years ago, maybe longer, but when the first smartphones came out, and now how that's changed the world. Go back a little bit further. I remember when search engines were brand new, email was brand new. I think that in similar fashion, but maybe even more than we realize, AI is a possibly once in a lifetime type of a change to how we do business and how we operate. So as a company, Palo Alto Software, as I mentioned, we've been in business for decades, and it was midway through our planning year this year that AI came onto the scene, and our leadership had the wisdom to push pause on all of our goals that we thought last year we were going to pursue. And we've given a great deal of focus to AI. And now we've got AI in LivePlan, so you can use AI in your planning processes. Couple of ways that we've done that is recognizing that a lot of the AI is a language-based model. And so incorporating that in is allowing you to expand on your idea, introduce new concepts, adjust the tone. Some folks, it's kind of a spectrum. Some folks are really great writers, and maybe they write too much. And other folks that get into write a plan, maybe writing is something that isn't your strength. To say, most entrepreneurs are really strong in the service that they're offering, the product that they're selling, what it was that got you into business. And then we find that sometimes writing a business plan can be tough for a lot of entrepreneurs. So AI is going to help with that. Of course, simpler things like grammar, spelling, mistakes, but overall, it's going to help make the written process of writing a business plan so much quicker, and then also not only quicker, but essentially better as well. So we've got a rewrite option in LivePlan that we're going to take a look at. We're not going to watch this video. I'm just going to skip past it here, but we'll go on to the next slide. We also have a help me write option. And this is great for folks who, again, you're really good at what you do, or you've got a lot of knowledge about your business or the type of business that you're going to be starting. And but maybe sitting down and writing paragraph on paragraph isn't the best use of your time, or you're just not that skilled at it. It's also great for second language learners. Maybe English isn't your first language, and coming in and writing a well-written business plan in English for a lender would be a big hurdle for you to get over. LivePlan is going to really lower that barrier to entry for you as well. And then additionally, we have in the forecast the ability to put in front of you using AI just different suggestions as far as types of revenue that you could bring in with your business, the different costs associated, expenses, personnel. And so we'll take a look at that as well. But the last couple of slides I want to share before we just jump over into LivePlan is one, while all this focus is on AI, we also recognize the value of human support. And so clearly that's why you're connecting in with the SBDC, so that you can have a human advisor that is supporting you and working with you, encouraging you, cheering you on. At LivePlan, we also have a great team of support. So anyone who's using LivePlan can reach out to us. We've even started doing onboarding calls with new users of LivePlan. As they're getting in there, can set up a call with one of our folks in the support team. And then of course there's chat and email and frequently asked questions that have been written into articles. So there's a lot of things that will help you to be successful when using LivePlan. The last thing that I wanted to highlight, without getting too deep into the weeds of AI, one of the questions that people pose is that possibly we'll get faster with AI, but the quality may go down, or what's the downside here? And at least some initial early studies that we've been reading have actually proven the opposite. That if you see there at the bottom, you can get both faster and higher quality results with AI. Also, AI is poised to stimulate innovation because as entrepreneurs, you all know, thinking creatively about solutions to problems, that's the entrepreneurial mindset. And so as AI is entering into the world, or has entered into the world, using that entrepreneurial mindset is really going to cause us to think about, okay, so if AI now does this for me, it frees up time. What else am I going to do with that time? How am I going to innovate? And then that third point is overall just increased productivity. We really are seeing that we should be able to do a lot more and a lot more faster. But back up there at the first bullet point, I really want to highlight this, and that's that the best results come with AI and with humans working together. It's not one or the other, but it's actually the combination of the two. All right, so with that, without further ado, let's get into LivePlan and let's build out a business plan together. Now, just to set expectation, we're not going to build an entire business plan in the next 15, 20 minutes. But what I want to show you is how easy it will be for you when you get into LivePlan to build out your business plan. The other thing too, just to reinforce, is that by being connected in with Central California's SBDC, they have a partnership with Palo Alto Software, who makes LivePlan, so that they're able to offer you access to this planning tool at no cost through your relationship with your advisor and through the local SBDC there. So hopefully, if this looks like something that you'd be interested in using, you'll get right in touch with Kelly or with your advisor or whoever invited you to this webinar and say, hey, let's get in and do some planning in LivePlan. I want to get this done. So, all right. One thing that was mentioned was childcare. So let's just, and I'm no childcare expert, so I'm going to kind of pretend as we go. So we're going to say this is a childcare company. Not a very creative name there, but this next box is kind of priming the pump for AI. So it's basically saying, give me a short description. I'm going to say we are in Eugene, Oregon. That's where we're based. And we are a childcare company serving ages, I don't know, we'll say infant through kindergarten. We offer early hours and evening hours as well. Totally making this up on the fly. My hat's off to those who are experts in this field. You'd probably put better content in there, but for sake of demo, we'll just run with it. And then we'll create this company together. And by creating the company, what that means is it's setting up a LivePlan instance. Now, over here on the left, it's going to give us a lot of different options, but for this demo, we're just going to jump right into the plan. There's a lot to read. There's videos, all sorts of instructions, but let's just get started together in here. So you'll see over here on the left with the business plan, of course, you've got an executive summary, and then you've got 4 different other sections. What's your opportunity? How are you going to execute in the execution? Tell me more about the company, and then what's the financial plan? We're going to start with identifying the problem we're solving. So we'll go over here and click on Start Topic. And when you get into LivePlan, the goal with LivePlan is that you're not just looking at a blank page with an outline, and now you're tasked with filling in the rest. We always want you to have instructions, and we want you to have examples. So that's what we're looking at here for this problem we're solving. And so I encourage you to slow down, read through that, take a look at that. Or if not, you can just move it up, close it out. And then here's where it gets really fun. You see, anywhere there's this little purple with the LivePlan assistant, that's where we've got AI working in the tool. So if we click on Help Me Write, it's going to say, put in basically any ideas, facts, or instructions. So the problem we're solving here, we're going to say childcare is limited and families have a hard time finding childcare. Again, this is probably not the best. I'm no expert, but let's say it is unavailable or expensive. We offer a great price. Oh no, that's getting into solution. So we want to wait there. So we're just going to stick with it's limited and it's pricey. That's the problem. So now I'm going to click on Generate Draft, and we'll get to see what AI is going to do with that. Now, keep in mind, it also already knows we're in Eugene, Oregon. It knows that we're a childcare company, and then we've just put in the problem we're solving. So now it's going to generate here. Looks like it's pulling in some data. Now, one thing to keep in mind with AI, and as AI evolves, we no longer have to spend the bulk of our time focused on writing the content. Now we need to shift our time towards editing the content. So again, I don't know, is this true? The average annual cost of infant care in Oregon is over $13,000, while preschool care average is nearly $9,000. That may be true, but we want to verify. So it's kind of the trust but verify sort of a situation. So at a glance, what you want to do is you don't just assume that it's 100% correct, bring some skepticism, but now we've got some good stuff to work with. If I don't like what AI generated, I can just click regenerate. If I want to add a little more content, I can edit the instructions, put in a little bit more. Let's see, maybe I want to say we offer educational daycare for the children. I don't know, making that up here. Then we generate the draft. It's going to take those edits and then bring in a new set of content here. So, all right, let's see what we got. And then once it gets through and finishes, what I'm going to do is I'm going to glance through it, and then I'm going to accept it. So we'll accept it by clicking Insert into Plan. Now, one of the things I want to highlight as well, and this is a new feature in LivePlan, is now there are progress indicators. So we went from having nothing in there, so it's just blank. Now that we have something, it's showing that we're in progress. Of course, I could go in here and now, let's say I want to tighten things up a little bit. And typically what that means is I want to shorten it. Or, frankly, I could go in and say, let's give it a different tone, either persuasive or professional. I'm just going to say, though, let's shorten it a little bit. I want to make sure that the lender is going to, not flip through and say, this is too long. So instead of 2-3 paragraphs, yeah, I like this summary. Let's replace that content. And then once I've done my work in this section, if I'm working with an advisor, I can actually change this to red, which means needs review. And so I'm going to do that. And now I'm going to close out. So your advisor now, when they log in and kind of take a quick look at what you've got going on, they'll be notified. They'll see with that little indicator there that, hey, this needs some review. So they can go in, make some, read the content, and then your advisors can leave comments under each of the sections. And then once you're finished, what I love about it is that then you can say it's ready to go. Click that, get a little confetti. It's a nice little celebration of finishing that problem we're solving. And then you move on to the next section. So problem, solution, market size, current alternatives. As you might imagine, at any different point, you might have some of these that are green, some that are yellow, some that you haven't started yet, others that are marked for review. So it's this continual process. And the goal is just to get in and put in your best guess, use AI, leverage that, and then mark it for review, after you've given some good thought to it, and have that back and forth conversation with your advisor. Now, for sake of time, I'm going to move out of the plan section. I will mention, though, that once it's finished, you can export as a PDF or as a Word doc. But let's get into the financials, because this tends to be what folks struggle with as well. Some people say, I could write about my business, my idea all day long, but the numbers, that's where I kind of go cross-eyed. So the first thing to know is you can, if you're already up and running using QuickBooks Online or Xero, you can connect to your accounting software, and that'll bring in some historicals and help inform what you're doing. But for this example, I'm going to click Begin Forecast. Now, you can see here we've got Not Started, just like in the other sections. The way that AI works in the forecast, at least right now, it's not going to predict any numbers for you. It's not going to try to say, here's what your business should earn over the next period of time. But what AI is going to do is offer suggestions so that, you may be thinking, we're going to have this revenue stream, that revenue stream. But there could be things that you haven't thought of yet that are going to help your business to be profitable. So if we look here, what it's generating, it's got a number of different things. Of course, weekly childcare tuition fees. Yeah, that probably is one I was going to do. Let's see, potty training surcharge. Boy, I don't know. That's something I guess to think about. Late pickup fees, maybe. Sibling discounts. Yeah, definitely want to do the sibling discounts. Monthly childcare. So the nice thing is it gives you a number of suggestions, like here, swim lessons. Yeah, that's not something we're going to offer in this imaginary situation. If there happened to be a pool co-located with your facility, well, gee, maybe swim lessons. But the thing that I love about this is there's some easy yes, yes, yes. There's some easy no, no, no. And then I think the gold is found in those maybe opportunities. Oh gosh, maybe meal plan. I don't know, maybe special needs. We could specialize in special needs instruction, or snack upgrades. But the point is, I just want to show you how quickly and easy that just pulled up a number of options. In fact, we can refresh that. It'll do it again. And there's always just kind of that immediacy of here's some things to consider, and then we can move on through. So let me show you, though, how to what you do with that. So we've selected, weekly childcare tuition. Then we're gonna say, well, what do we do with this? And what LivePlan will do that's great is it's gonna ask us questions along the way. For example, what type of revenue is this? So weekly, I mean, you might be able to sell it as units, but probably this is recurring charges, actually. So we click on recurring charges. This example, we're set in January 2023. I guess that's earlier this year. So let's say we're going to open in November here, in any day, right? How will we enter these numbers? Is it a constant amount or varying amounts? Either one of these is great, but I'm going to choose varying amounts just to show you this neat tool. What we're going to do here is first start maybe, and this is where it's going to show that I'm really not an expert in this area. You know, how many weekly signups are we going to start with? Well, if there's a high demand, I guess I'd work based off capacity. But I'm just going to throw in a number here and say, you know, maybe 40 weekly signups. You know, maybe that represents way too much or way too little. I'm not sure. And then we'll say we're going to increase that to 45. And as we're planning for the next year, maybe we start at 50 weekly signups, and maybe we've got a lot of space and a lot of staff. You know, I don't know, but let's just, for sake of numbers, throw in 50. We want to grow to 100. And then you can actually mouse between these data points, which is pretty nice. And then that's going to connect your revenue stream. Now, of course, you want to take a look at this, make sure it makes sense. And maybe we have a steady climb from 50 to 100, or, you know, maybe there is, you know, in the summer months, I don't know, maybe childcare goes up or down. I really don't know. But whatever your business requires, you can set that seasonality, and then that's going to be reflected down here in the numbers. And then I'll just put in a 2025 summary. And now what's the recurring charge, you know, for a weekly? Again, this is me really not knowing. So you'd want to check with your SBDC advisor, but maybe it's $350 a week. So, and this is charged, oh, it looks like we've just got monthly charges. So this is going to have to, we're just going to bump it up to something like that. So next, and then this is interesting. Churn is something that you may be new to. And so we've got this little icon here, and it says, it tells you what it is. And it's basically the people that are dropping off or not renewing. There's likely an industry average for churn rate for childcare. Whatever that is, put that in there and then save and exit. So what we've done pretty quickly, of course, I'm just guessing, and actually, let me pause for a minute. When you're getting into LivePlan, guessing is entirely acceptable, because we don't expect, your advisor doesn't expect, no one expects you the first time you go through and run a plan to get it quote unquote right. In fact, we expect you to not get it right, and that's part of the process. So I would say get in there. Today's best guess is exactly that. And then as you learn and research and come back to it tomorrow's best guess will be one day better. So get in here, put in your best guess. And then what this is going to do is allow the, get it 80% right. And then your advisor will work with you and give you access to maybe even other tools and research and different data that will help ensure that this is an on-point business plan. So the plan and the forecast, once you've completed those, there's also what we call a pitch page. And this is where you can get in and actually develop a presentation for a lender or an investor. And it's going to walk you through each of these boxes. Now you can see the forecast is already coming in from the previous section. And it's going to, again, ask you questions. So here is a headline about the business. Well, let's get some suggestions here. And it's going to, just like AI does, it's going to say, maybe some headlines would be extended hours childcare in Eugene for infants through kindergarten, or child in care in Eugene for infants kindergarten. So you can pick one of those or write your own, and then just move your way through. And again, use AI or use more of your own word. And then the goal is really just to get something in there and then iterate until you're ready to go. All right. Well, I'm looking at the clock here. I want to just, I guess, maybe preview, and I won't go too in depth, but the benchmarks tab, talk to your advisor about this. This brings in industry data based off of what's called a NAICS code, which is a data set, pulling in data about other businesses that are like yours. There's a lot of value here for comparison. With the schedule tab, you can just set milestones for the business so that you're, keeping yourself on track. And then the dashboard, I'm actually going to click over to a fully built business plan here just to show you. It looks more exciting when you've actually got it fully built. The dashboard is just like you would think, your dashboard on your car, or some sort of a visual representation of the most important elements of your business. So here we've got revenue and the breakdown, and the expense and the breakdown, and so on. So it gives you a lot of information about what's going on in your business. And this, of course, would be best used when you've got QuickBooks or Xero and you're connecting in that data so that you're managing to the plan. So the last thing that I'll say, and then we'll just open it up if there's questions, is when using LivePlan, don't ignore this little question mark up here in the top right, because it'll get you to live chat with our team. Again, remember I mentioned those real humans in Eugene, Oregon. Reach out to us. You can chat with us. You can email us. And then also the LivePlan Help Center is really just a phenomenal it's a list of articles of frequently asked questions, so that if you're working late at night or on the weekend and LivePlan support's not available, there's a lot of great content there as well. So clearly there's more that I could show you, but for sake of time, hopefully this whets the appetite and causes you to want to reach out to your advisor even today and say, let's do some planning for our business, and would love to work with you as my advisor. So with that, Kelly, I'll kick it back to you, see if there's any questions or anything else that we can cover.
Well, great. Fantastic stuff. Great software. Not a lot of questions, but we do have let's hit those first of all. And the first question is, does LivePlan have an educational outreach program that offers software to business schools, either free or discounted?
Yeah, great question. We do work with schools and educational institutions. We don't typically have free versions, but it's always discounted. So if you want, you can go to liveplan.com/solutions. And that'll show you all the different types of folks that we work with, one of which are educators. And we've got an informational page there to check that out.
Great. Next question is, I am an SBDC client. How can I access LivePlan? Well, thank you for asking. The Central California SBDC region, those 14 counties in the central part of California, has a license. And within that license is 100 seats. So we can actually be working with 100 of our clients in those 13 county region. Now, a number of our advisors do work with LivePlan, and there are new tools. And I know there are SBDC advisors on today's webinar. There's new tools as far as a simple video for onboarding clients and getting to use them. So we're reaching out and working with more and more of our SBDC consultants in the 13 county region in order to ease that onboarding process. Now, absolutely, being an SBDC client is a great opportunity for you to get onto LivePlan. Depending on how busy it is at any given time, those 100 seats, we could offer you access through our license for 2 weeks, a month, or maybe longer. As activity grows, we end up kind of shuffling around and making room for everybody. So it's not really a permanent solution, but what we find is a lot of people are so involved with the planning process, and it becomes such a part of their business that they then actually purchase subscriptions directly through LivePlan. But this is a great opportunity to kick the tires and see what it can do for you in working with an advisor who is competent in LivePlan. And so I encourage everybody out there to, if you are an SBDC client, to contact your advisors. If you're an SBDC advisor, let me know, and I will actually be forwarding you. I could forward you the video for easily onboarding and using LivePlan and accessing some of our licenses. Next question is, on LivePlan? Oh, you get to answer this one, Josh.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm in chat, so let me ask this one in chat, and then I see we have some Q&A activity. What is the median cost for LivePlan? So if you don't have the SBDC option, or you outgrow us to where you work with LivePlan all the time, what is the cost?
Yeah, it averages. We've got a light version we call standard for $20 a month, or a premium version, which is what we've looked at here, and that's $40 a month. And if you are going to use it long term, we've got annual discounts as well. We also have SBDC discounts for when clients purchase it, so that you can even get it below retail. So if you're working with the SBDC, check with them, and then we can work out discounts for clients as well. So.
And some of the basic differences between the basic and the premium?
Yeah, great question. Basically, the basic has the plan, forecast, and pitch, and then premium has kind of all the bells and whistles. So if you're doing the standard, you would have a plan, a forecast, and a pitch. So you could still do a full business plan, but there's a lot more that you can do with the premium version.
Can this be geared toward making a pitch to potential investors?
I broke up for just a second, Kelly. What was that question?
I'm sorry. Can LivePlan be used toward making a pitch to angel investors?
Yep, absolutely. That would be this pitch page here, and it's going to produce a nice streamlined version of basically your talking points, and then that can export out to a PowerPoint.
And we've seen LivePlan used in several examples of people seeking any form of equity. And so, yes, I would have to agree with that. Does LivePlan have any trainings or understanding market projections for a specific industry, like construction or home remodeling?
We don't specifically offer training for that. Again, I'd refer you to your SBDC advisor. They'll have a lot to offer you there. Certainly, though, check out bplans.com. That's free content. There's lots of good information there as well.
Would benchmarking have anything specific, numbers specific by industry, or numbers that can be imported?
It would, but it's limited to about a dozen metrics that are there on the screen. But those are based off of a data set, industry data set.
Any discounts for QuickBooks use with LivePlan? Two different companies, so I'm guessing no, but you guys might work together.
Yeah, we do work together with QuickBooks and with Intuit. Same thing, I'd say go to liveplan.com/solutions. And I think that there's a section there that talks about like a LivePlan bundle type of a thing with QuickBooks.
Jumping into chat, let's see. How do we sign up to use LivePlan with SBDC? Well, first reach out to your nearest SBDC, and Google's the best way. And you can sign up to be a client online. Go to the get started here green button, click that, and put LivePlan in there. Would be the best way to do that. Okay, here's a question about the Foodservice program, about ready to launch a business, but do have some of the requirements. Do you know how long this program will be available? The food business, the actual class that is being offered, which is on demand. So it'll be available, I believe, after even the grants are gone in one way, shape, or form. But the nice thing is the modules are split up. It's on demand. You can do it at your pace. And so I believe it'll be available, even after these funds have been extinguished, something like that. Extended would be great, if they want to put more money out there. But the city doesn't let me make that call anymore. So yes, I believe that's about it. Josh, great having you back on.
Thank you, Kelly, for the invite. I'm happy to come again.
And for those that are looking for an alternative rather than LivePlan, there is the bplans.com that you can go to. I did list a couple of other ways of using artificial intelligence with ChatGPT, webinars that are on our YouTube channel. So go subscribe to our YouTube channel. This webinar will be there in a couple of days, probably. Also, those of you that have signed up, you'll receive an email with all the links we referred to today, a recording of today's webinar. So you could go back and watch, Josh's part on that and learn even more and retain more of LivePlan. So, Josh, thank you so much.
My pleasure, Kelly.
Great seeing you again. So that's going to wrap up number 296. We'll be back next week with number 297. Our special guest will be Jim Damian, who's with the County of Kern in their new, he's an entrepreneur in their new economic development position. It'd be great to hear what's going on in the county. And also, Ollie Morris will be talking about the iHub and things that are going on with the inclusive iHub, but that's next week. Number 297, I'd like to thank Josh Fegles, like to thank Mark Evans, Maureen Busher-Dang. Thank you all for your great work today. We'll be back next week. Everybody have a great week. Goodbye, everybody.